What did I do to deserve you?
New episodes return CBS Thursday and streaming on Paramount Plus.
Shower activity ending for tonight. Couple of snow showers early in the western parts of the UP. More in the forecast into the weekend coming up.
Good evening, everyone. I'm John Truitt. Tonight on your WZMQ 19 News, we hear from Governor Whitmer on the cleanup efforts following the string of bad weather across northern Michigan. Plus, we'll have the latest from Washington, D.C. on the new sweeping tariffs imposed by Trump today, set to go in effect at midnight. And Planned Parenthood of Michigan is shutting down 3 locations in Michigan, including Marquette, in response to threats of less federal funding. Your 19 News at 11 starts now.
Live from the UP, this is WZMQ 19 News at 11.
Checking out the planner for the downside here on Thursday for the Marquette region. We'll start out a lot of clouds early for the day, but that's about it. We'll have some gusty winds and temperatures will try to get close to 40 degrees, but bundle up there. We'll have wind chills probably in the teens and 20s for much of the day with this kind of wind. And again, a lot of clouds as well. How are things looking as we head on toward the weekend? We will let you know later in the show. Kevin?
Northern Michigan communities are still evaluating the damage from this weekend's ice storm. Many issues remain, including the restoration of power as the area still deals with high winds and winter-like weather. Sheldon Krause spoke with leaders on the state and local levels, including Governor Gretchen Whitmer, on how they are responding.
If you can hunker down and you're in a safe place and you've got the important things that you need, please do so at least through this next weather event.
Governor Gretchen Whitmer and local officials spoke with 9 and 10 News Wednesday about ongoing recovery efforts in northern Michigan. Whitmer spoke from the State Emergency Operations Center in Lansing, where state police and other agencies are working to coordinate help for people in affected areas.
That it's kind of an all hands on deck moment from the locals to the state with MDOT and DNR working to clear roads as well. So we're marshaling all the manpower and resources that we have.
Whitmer said there were around 125 National Guard members assisting in northern Michigan Wednesday, with another 350 expected to join in the next day. She says the first priority of responders is to help restore power. As of Wednesday afternoon, Consumers Energy reported that around 80% of customers have had their power restored since the weekend, but nearly 70,000 still remained without power. Kim Aury, city manager of Gaylord, says that this is the most severe natural disaster she's seen in recent years.
We had the tornado in 2022, and honestly, this is 100 times worse than what we saw during the tornado. You know, it came through in just, one little area. This is countywide. There is a lot of destruction to the trees and things. There's going to be a big cleanup effort that's going to be necessary once we get things restored.
Ralph Ox, village president of Vanderbilt, says that his community is hoping to have power restored by the end of the week.
I have never seen anything equivalent to this storm in my lifetime, and I'm a youngster at 88 years old.
Whitmer says she'll be speaking with President Trump this week about conditions in northern Michigan and to request federal assistance for response efforts.
I will share with him what we're seeing, what we're bracing for, and lay the groundwork for the potential of a request from the federal government as well.
Today, sweeping new reciprocal tariffs were announced by President Trump. The highly anticipated day of Day of Reckoning for the Republicans is happening this evening.
After months of tariff threats on things like copper, steel, pharmaceuticals, European wine, and so much more, we have a clearer picture today on exactly how much and which countries are impacted by these new tariffs.
This will be indeed the golden age of America. It's coming back, and we're going to come back very strongly.
According to a White House fact sheet, President Trump will impose individual reciprocal tariffs on countries which the United States has the largest trade deficits. All other countries will continue to be subjected to the original 10% tariff baseline. Countries that are subjected to a discounted reciprocal tariff will see new tariffs at roughly half of what foreign countries currently have levied on the U.S. For example, President Trump said Japan, a close U.S. ally, charges 46%. The U.S. now in return will charge 24%. The president spending much of the event Wednesday afternoon talking about making America wealthy again.
Jobs and factories will come roaring back into our country, and you see it happening already.
Republicans largely praised the tariffs and urged patience.
What I think is going to happen is that the tariffs, that this huge tariff disparity that we have with these other countries is going to come down. They're going to bring their tariffs down because they need the U.S. to be active trading partners.
Democrats say otherwise.
The costs of groceries, the costs of prescription drugs, the cost of gasoline, the cost of buying a car, the cost of buying a house, the cost of furniture, the cost of clothing. Everything people buy is going to go up.
At 12:01 Thursday morning, a 25% tariff on foreign-made cars will go into effect. A similar tariff on foreign-made auto parts will take effect no later than May 3rd. Reporting outside the White House, Brendan Scanlon to WZMQ 19 News.
The 10% tariff on all countries will take effect April 5th at 12:01 a.m. The president's higher individualized reciprocal tariffs on countries the U.S. has the largest trade deficits with will take effect April 9th at 12:01 a.m. President Trump has also already imposed 25% tariffs on all steel and aluminum imports. With Trump's announcement set to raise tariffs over 20% for certain countries and industries, experts are saying some of the impacts are already being felt. Our Michigan Capitol correspondent, Sophia Murphy, has more from Michigan State University food economists on the impacts of Trump's tariff plan.
It's a very fast evolving situation.
Earlier today, the United States had only imposed tariffs on Chinese imports. Plans to raise the percentage on Canadian and Mexican goods were stalled. But now, at midnight, Trump's new plan is set to take effect.
Importers are actually the ones that pay for that tariff when they bring product across the border from a foreign country.
A tariff is a tax on imported goods. In this case, a tax on the value of those imports. Trump says his plan to impose reciprocal tariffs will pay down the national debt and prioritize American manufacturing. But economists say tariffs like this have always ended with higher prices for the average American.
When there's a rise in costs, that often gets passed down to the consumer in the form of higher prices. Even the threat of tariffs can have an inflationary effect.
Ortega says in order to prepare for the extra cost of imported goods, producers and manufacturers have increased their prices and caused stress in supply chains by front-loading while costs are low. Businesses that export American goods are also bracing for retaliatory tariffs, increasing the cost of sending goods to other countries.
We've seen China implement retaliatory tariffs. Countries like the EU and Canada have announced plans to do so.
Trump says the tariffs introduced today are reciprocal, raising taxes on imported and exported goods to focus on keeping and using domestic goods in America. From Michigan's capital, Sophia Murphy, WZMQ 19 News.
Planned Parenthood of Michigan is closing 3 locations across the state, citing threats to cut federal funding from the Trump administration. That includes their health center in Marquette, effective April 30th, with the last patients being seen on April 25th. Also closing its doors are the Jackson and Petoskey locations. They say they're focusing on the organization's long-term sustainability. President and CEO of Planned Parenthood of Michigan, Paula Thornton Greer, said in a press release earlier today, quote, "The Trump administration and its anti-abortion allies have made clear their intention to defund Planned Parenthood and attack access to sexual and reproductive health care nationwide," end quote. A Delta County business has received a $100,000 grant from the Michigan Department of Agriculture and Rural Development. Rainbow Packing is the only USDA slaughter facility in the Upper Peninsula. The funding will allow Rainbow Packing to upgrade its smoker, improve its production and cooling process, and create 2 full-time jobs and 1 part-time job. The owner says UP farmers depend on Rainbow Packing to legally process and sell their meat products.
If they want to sell to a grocery store, to a restaurant, to a farmer's market, all of that meat has to go through USDA inspection. That allows them to go basically from farm to table. Without us, it would be very hard for them. They'd have to go quite a ways to even be able to distribute.
Rainbow Packing works with organizations like UpCap and the Food as Medicine program and provided more than 30,000 pounds of ground beef to Feeding America West Michigan last year. Tom DeVecchio has your first warning weather forecast when we come back. Plus, the IRS is warning of scams through your tax filings. We'll hear what to look for next.
"19 News is brought to you by Kirkish Furniture.
John's Auto is quickly becoming everybody's favorite place to get their car fixed. John's Auto is quickly becoming everybody's favorite place to fix their car. Was that right? For a better service experience, come to John's Auto Market. Why do I keep forgetting that word? Experience. Okay, go. For a better service experience, come to John's Auto Market.
And don't forget,
How much longer? Relax. I can't. This online betting thing is getting out of control. Come on, we're having fun. But we need to pay rent, buy books, groceries. Blah, blah, blah. They're called priorities for a reason. We'll get to those things. Maybe. This isn't gonna end well.
Don't regret the bet. For tips that will help you play it smart, go to don'tregretthebet.org. A message from the Michigan Gaming Control Board.
Here's your WZMQ CBS This is Home Community Calendar.
She's fair.
Untrue, Your Honor.
What? You're going to have your turn.
She's inquisitive.
What in the world led to this young lady finding you in this compromising situation?
And firm.
The only thing that matters in this particular courtroom, sir, is how I see it.
Watch Equal Justice with Judge Ebony K. Williams.
Weekdays on WZMQ CBS. Escanaba reporter Lily Simmons on WZMQ 19 News. Now, WZMQ TV 19 First Warning Weather with meteorologist Tom DeVecchio.
Checking out our headlines for the UP. Overall, relatively tranquil weather expected here after a couple of bouts of some freezing precipitation. Good to see some tranquility this weekend. Far cry from all the tremendous ice and snow we had from last weekend. And generally, we're going to have some cool and dry conditions in the grand scheme of things. For the kids, too, a nice change of pace here. Temperatures starting out in the low 30s. We'll have some cool, cloudy conditions, and we'll stay mostly cloudy. Might get a few peaks of sun for the afternoon as the kids come home in the afternoon with temperatures approaching that 40-degree mark. Winds, you can see a strong northwesterly flow here. So even though we don't expect the temperatures to drop a lot, we do expect the air to be quite chilly. And we'll try and lower those winds, as you can see, as we head on toward Friday. Winds becoming more light and variable. So get through some of the gusty winds tomorrow. Things will be calmer on Friday. Precipitation, leftover showers moving out, maybe a quick hit of some snowflakes tomorrow morning, but overall just a lot of clouds. Nothing with these and no accumulations or anything like that. But you can see the clouds stay tough as we move on through the afternoon hours on Thursday. Quick clearing for Thursday night, but Friday the clouds just come back in again, but not enough to squeeze anything out, not expecting anything in the way of precipitation as we head on through the day Friday. That trend will continue to a greater or lesser extent into the upcoming weekend. And as we look at the month of April here, what's the long-range outlook for the month? Sorry, it should be April, not March here, but we do expect temperatures overall to be near normal. In fact, much of the northern United States will be relatively normal. The warmth will be farther south. It looks very unsettled here. It could be quite stormy in the Ohio Valley and the Tennessee Valley as well. Kind of what they're going to get tonight and tomorrow. In fact, good tornado outbreak expected there. But as we head on through the rest of April, precipitation, like the temperatures, looks like April is going to be a fairly average month. So temperatures for tonight, mid to upper 30s. And then as we head on into tomorrow, temperatures near 40 or in the lower 40s. Generally mostly cloudy skies, maybe a couple of early snow showers here toward Eagle Harbor into Lawns. And the rest of the forecast, Friday, lower to mid 40s. You see, as we've said, Saturday and Sunday, chilly, but fairly tranquil. Not a whole lot going on. And then maybe a little bit of flurry activity. Cold, look at that, mid 20s on Monday. What's going on here? But a nice rebound in temperatures by the middle of next week.
Thanks, Tom. Taking a quick look across the UP, in Escanaba, huge blocks of ice are taking over the shoreline of Little Bay de Noc. This footage was taken by our own Lily Simmons at around 10 this morning as high winds swept through the area. Another reason not to trust everything you read and see online, the IRS is warning taxpayers about bad tax return advice on TikTok and other platforms. Josh Sidorowicz tells us how some Americans may be following false claims and missing out on legitimate deductions.
Scroll through social media and you will find all kinds of tips to file your taxes. Some claim tapping into obscure credits can even net you bigger refunds, from writing off your car or even your pet to hiring your own kids. But tax professionals caution following some of it could lead to fines and delays getting any refund you're actually owed.
There's just enough truth to be dangerous.
There's usually some credibility in the claim, the credit, the deduction. It does exist, but not the way they phrase it, and certainly not with the way they're intending it.
The problem prevalent enough now, the IRS says it is stepping up reviews of returns that claim these other withholdings, saying instead of looking to ill-informed information on social media, speak to a trusted tax professional. More than 700,000 taxpayers at the end of last year were still waiting on their refunds that were frozen for review by the IRS after claiming credits they potentially weren't eligible for. The National Taxpayer Advocate's annual report to Congress in January partly blaming misinformation on social media. Jackson Hewitt Chief Tax Officer Mark Stieber says the biggest mistake people make is not claiming credits they do actually qualify for, like the earned income and the child tax credit.
Here's the thing that people don't really fully appreciate. If you leave off an income item, if you leave off your crypto, the IRS is generally looking for that and you might get a question. But if you leave off the earned income credit, which about 1 out of 5 do every year, or you leave off a deduction related to your self-employment, the IRS doesn't say, oh, wait a minute, they don't add back deductions. They don't add back credits. You don't get a bigger refund from the IRS. You leave it off, it stays off.
And a lot of people are leaving a lot of money on the table. The IRS said in just 1 year, eligible taxpayers left more than $7 billion unclaimed, and that was just for the earned income tax credit. This year's filing deadline is April 15th.
You might want to check your driver's license. In just over a month, you could have a harder time getting through airport security. May 7th is the deadline to have a real ID, and millions of Americans still don't. Chris Van Cleve is at Washington's Reagan National Airport with what you need to know.
Folks, make sure you have your documents out ready to go.
It's an all-out effort to beat the clock that has lines out the door in Chicago. With only about 33% compliance statewide, Illinois opened this first-in-the-nation Real ID Supercenter last month in an old Walgreens location. It's processing about 1,500 people a day.
Come on around. All that empty space over there.
Starting May 7th, you'll need a Real ID to get into government buildings and through airport security.
What made you come in today?
Because I have a trip coming up May 10th, so I want to get it out the way.
I had to get the Real ID because I work in a government building
and I guess we can't get in without that.
This really is an effort to make up for lost time in Illinois. They want to move people through in about an hour from document check to photo to paperwork processing to checkout. But that real ID will come in the mail in about 2 weeks. That's why time is running out. Congress mandated the switch to Real ID after 9/11.
Can you see your ID for a second?
The new IDs are more secure and harder to counterfeit. After lengthy delays, the deadline is now just weeks away.
We are told that it's going to happen.
TSA spokesperson Patricia Mancha.
Everybody is responsible for presenting the proper travel documents when they come to the checkpoint.
What happens if people don't have a compliant ID on May 7th?
Well, there's going to be a phased approach of enforcement, but people will experience travel delays.
Getting one means a trip to the DMV. Typically, you'll need a valid ID, passport, or birth certificate, proof of your social security number and date of birth, plus 2 items proving state residency. The deadline for enforcement is May 7th, but you'll still be able to get a real ID after that deadline. The TSA has not laid out what that phased enforcement will look like, but if you have a passport or an active military ID, those will also work in the meantime.
Still to come on your 19 News, the city of Marquette discusses the future possibilities for Lakeview Arena. We'll have the details after this.
Getting ready, we all have our routine. Finding an outfit. Fixing your hair. And all the other little touches. Gum, check. Keys, check. Phone, check. But of all the things you remember to bring with you, naloxone could be the most important. It can reverse an opioid overdose. You can get it without a prescription in most states, and it's really easy to use. If you or someone you know is at risk for opioid overdose, naloxone could save their life. Keep it on you and at home. For more information about naloxone, visit cdc.gov/stop-overdose.
Today, we bring you the profile of a hero, Marine Private First Class Gomer Pyle.
Heroes come in all shapes and sizes. But this hero is a musical Marine. Gomer Pyle.
Weeknights at 9:30 on MeTV 19.1. You're watching WZMQ 19 News, live and local, with Kevin Hodge.
A standing room only crowd packed the Citizens Forum at Lakeview Arena today for a City Commission work session on the future of Lakeview Arena. The forum sought the public's input on the viability of selling Lakeview Arena to a group of local investors. 2 local business leaders from Base Hospitality Group addressed the commission, expressing their interest in purchasing the aging facility.
Yeah, we've approached the city to discuss the potential acquisition of Lakeview by a nonprofit affiliate of ours that would ideally maximize Lakeview as a public ice arena and really see Lakeview become what it could be, realizing its full potential as a community resource.
Base Hospitality currently owns several area hotels and, according to Holsworth, can devote more resources and a wider array of financing options than the city.
We're able to put the lion's share of our energy into this project over the next 3 to 5 years, and city manager doesn't have that luxury.
A major concern for residents is what might happen to the arena. City Manager Karen Kovacs assured the commissioners that the facility must remain as it was originally intended.
which there is a deed restriction on that land that it must remain as an ice arena, convention facility, or other related public activity. So it cannot be condos.
Marquette Mayor Jessica Handley stressed that this proposal is in its very infancy.
So this is the first step. If we continue forward moving on this, it's going to be more local talks, more meetings, more votes, negotiations to find out how much this building is worth. Is this financially viable? Is this something we should do? This is not by any means even close to decided on anything. Not a single decision was made tonight.
Residents can expect more information sessions in the coming months. After years of serving their own community, 2 businesses in Munising are in the process of expanding with new locations coming to Marquette. WZMQ's Andrew Hands has more.
Munising's Gallery Coffee and Early Bird's Family Restaurant are planning a future move to Marquette. Tom and Anna Dolosky have owned the 2 businesses for years. After a successful partnership last year with the Base Hospitality Group to create Slabs in Marquette, they knew they wanted to expand.
I guess in a lot of the sense you don't anticipate the sort of welcome that you receive, and that sort of boosted our confidence, if you will, to do a little more in Marquette.
At the moment, the Doloskys are in early stages of securing funding. Both locations have been selected, but a large focus has been towards adjusting the venue's artistic styles to their new and smaller settings, while also bringing their own uniqueness to Marquette.
The Gallery Coffee space, obviously it's going to be on a much smaller scale than our 8,000 square foot Gallery Coffee in Munising, so we definitely have to make it feel cozy, intimate, and just right. It'll be interesting to see what we come up with. We're studying the spaces at the moment, trying to figure out what works and what doesn't. A lot of creative ideas coming around.
The couple are hoping for a continued welcoming environment they have seen already. Anna says that even with differences in location, customers can still expect the same quality in service, food, and coffee.
We've had great response with Slabs. We've been very fortunate to have found amazing staff, amazing management team to run that restaurant, so we're hoping to duplicate that.
The new spaces in downtown Marquette will be on the corner of West Washington and Front Street. No exact arrival date has been released yet. In Munising, Andrew Hands, WZMQ 19 News.
About 1 in 36 children in the U.S. is now identified with autism spectrum disorder. And for many parents, a major concern is what their future looks like in adulthood. On this World Autism Day, Bradley Blackburn takes us to a thriving business where employees with ASD are finding meaningful work.
At a busy t-shirt factory on New York's Long Island, the whirling screen printer is run by Spencer. Social media specialist Kelly captures the moment as Jason is sorting shirts.
I'm ready for my close-up.
They're all employees at Spectrum Designs, and they're all on the autism spectrum.
Me and Spence, just because we're autistic doesn't mean we're not capable.
At this nonprofit business, 65% of employees have ASD. It was co-founded by Patrick Bardsley. He worked at a special needs summer camp and realized the kids he met would need jobs as adults.
Yes, this is a t-shirt company. Yes, we make products and everything else, but it's so much more than that.
The unemployment rate for people with ASD has been estimated at 40% or higher. Kelly struggled to find a job even with a college degree.
I was job interviewing, and within the first 5 minutes, the employer told me, I can't hire you because you don't make eye contact. And that really upset me because I knew everything about the company. I would have been a great employee.
At Spectrum, employees get competitive pay and benefits, and the workplace is inclusive by design. There's a quiet space for breaks without stimulation, clear signage, and a video-based training system.
Ever since we've made these visual changes, we've seen a 30% uptick in our efficiency in the company. And again, this is something that every business can do.
Before you started here, did you have any idea that this is how shirts are printed?
No.
Spencer used to bag groceries at a supermarket. Now he leads a team as a decoration specialist. Kelly has grown Spectrum's Instagram by 100,000 followers.
I'm happy to be autistic. I'm proud to be autistic. And if someone can't accept that, then it's their loss, not mine.
Finding success and fulfillment in a workplace that welcomes all.
We're back with a final look at weather after this.
The wait is over. England Furniture's quick shipping is back at Kirkish Furniture. Choose your style and fabric and receive your furniture in as little as 30 days. Browse our in-stock selection or let our staff help you customize the perfect sofa or chair. Plus, 1 year free financing and free delivery.
I thought it was just a rash, but it had a bullseye ring around it. My doctor said it was a tick bite.
Luckily, we caught it early.
Ticks found in tall grass around your home can spread Lyme disease and other illnesses, which can lead to chronic health issues. The CDC estimates nearly 500,000 people across the country are diagnosed with Lyme disease each year.
I didn't understand why my brother was having so many asthma flare-ups. Sometimes he couldn't breathe. Turns out a roach problem at home was triggering it.
Allergens left behind by dust mites, roaches, and rodents are a major driver of asthma attacks, especially in children.
When I had a fever, body aches, and fatigue, I never thought it would have been West Nile virus. All it took was a mosquito bite while gardening.
Mosquitoes spread West Nile virus and many other diseases, and they can breed in standing water around your home. Protect your family from pests. Get the facts at pestworld.org.
There's no looking back.
Don't look back.
I wasn't really looking back, just remembering back.
Remember back.
What do you say we start from here?
With a rifleman.
Weekdays at 3 p.m. on WZMQ Me TV.
Pretty tranquil for the balance of tonight. A couple of snow showers will probably come into the western sections of the Upper Peninsula here off of Lake Superior. Maybe a coating here and there, but that's about it. Otherwise, just a lot of clouds hanging around for Thursday. After a little clearing Thursday night, we're back to cloudy conditions as we head on toward Friday. But in the grand scheme of things, just not a lot of precipitation. This weekend, a far cry from the rough weather we had from last weekend. So temperatures for tomorrow, highs upper 30s to the lower 40s around the region. And again, a little bit of snow early in the day, Eagle Harbor into Lawns. Most everyone else just getting a lot of clouds, maybe a couple of flurries here. Then for Friday, we'll have lower to mid 40s. Good looking day. A little cooler for the weekend, but no precipitation. Temperatures mid to upper 30s. Cold hit for Monday. This is April. We can't get out of the 20s, but we do warm up pretty quickly by the middle of next week. Kevin?
Finally tonight, a new electronic recycling site in Marquette is available to the public starting today. It can be found on North Lakeshore Boulevard across from McCarty's Cove. The Superior Watershed Partnership has been working with Eagle and to promote proper disposal of electronic waste. The recycling site takes electronics except household items like light bulbs, microwaves, toasters, etc. The electronic waste recycling site is open every Wednesday from 12 p.m. to 4 p.m. For more information on the recycling site, go to WZMQ19.com. That'll do it for us tonight. Have a good evening.
I was sitting in the chemotherapy chair less than a month from the time that I felt the lump. Triple negative cancer. The toughest to treat, the fastest to grow. Not the easiest news to hear, but